Okay, so I'm going to take you through what we're going to cover. So we're going to first of all start with the introduction here. And first of all, the overview of this webinar. We're going to talk about what the goals are for having this webinar. We're going to introduce you to the presenters. We will look at the types of data and tools that we're going to cover in this, which is just GDV, essentially data and tools. Then we're going to have time after each of these sessions to have 2 or 3 minutes of questions. And then we'll have questions and discussion at the end for about 10 minutes. And then post-webinar, you will receive a survey from Michael Cole, which we'd very much appreciate you filling in to give us feedback on this survey, on this webinar. So thank you. There's a slight delay for some reason with this presentation. Okay, just some housekeeping. Any questions should be posted in the chat window for the presentations, and then at the end of each session, we will one of our moderators will pose those questions to the presenter, and then we'll have that 10 to 15 minutes at the end for more questions. Okay, so the goals of this are first of all to introduce you to the GDV team, so who you're working with and who to contact. Also to provide you with a broad overview of the GDV data, tools, and some use cases. Then we'd like to answer any community questions that you have, receive any feedback from you about GDV. Some of that will come after the webinar, of course, and feel free to contact us separately to the survey. And then also to solicit requests for new features or new types of data that you'd like to have in the database that either we aren't already planning for or we don't currently have. And we'll talk a little bit more, go through that. And just a reminder of the link at the bottom there is for how to contact us. Just go through the contact form on the website, as that will then be sent to the appropriate people in our team and you will get a response. Okay, so an overview. I am the PI of the GDV. I'm going to give you an overview of GDV. And then Jodie Human is going to give you an overview of the genetic data and tools and also the genomic data and tools. Jodie is the GDV manager, so she takes care of most of the data in GDV and managing that data. Jodie has been with our team now for 9 years. I've been here 19 years working on this. And then we have Sup Yoon, who will be giving you a talk on breeding data and tools in GDV. And she and I have worked together now for 19 years on these databases that we work on. We have 5 different crop databases that we work on. So really it's my program and Sup, we work together and it's our program. Then other people who are on the GDV team, we have Ping Zheng, who does the sequence analysis. So when Jodie's talking about the types of sequence analysis we do on the genomic data, you'll see some of that. A lot of that's what Ping does. She's been with the team for 16 years, as has Tian Li. He's her husband. And then we have Chunwei Cheng, who's been with us for 12 years. Catherine, who's been with us for 6 years. These are 3 developers. And then we have James Crabb, who contributes as a curator to the data, to various databases. Heidi Hoff, who's our database admin and system admin. She's been with us for 8 years. And then also Jing Yu, who works on cotton mostly, but also contributes to the overall database development that we do and plan for development. So just to kind of emphasize that we have, I think, we have a diverse and we have an equitable team that are working on GDV and on the other databases that we house here at Washington State University in our program. Shout out to the VACCAP facilitators for this webinar. We have Amaya, I can't ever pronounce you quite right, down here at the bottom. Also Josie, who is the VACCAP coordinator, has actually done most of the coordination. And then Michael Coe is the assessment specialist. And then we have Lisa Wasco, director, who is one of the extension team members. And down at the bottom, you can see the PI of this whole VACCAP project, Massimo Araiza here. So thank you to them. Okay, so here is the homepage of the GDV. It's easy to find. It's vaccinium.org, so that should be pretty easy for you to find. I'm just going to take you through some of the general navigation in this site so you get a feeling for what we have in here. And so you can see on the homepage we have the species quick start. So from here you can get immediately into your the data and tools associated with your species of interest. So if you click on that, this will take you, for example, in this case, into blueberry. And you can see that what we have here, we have an overview in the middle, which gives you some of the general information about that that particular crop, summary information. And then we have a section on the left which gives you all the data types that are available in the database for that crop. If there's something missing there, it's because we don't have data. So we didn't have, it was one of the crops that we perhaps don't have a genome for, the genome would not show up there. And then you can see at the bottom, we have the tools that are available. And again, these are tools that you can use for this particular crop. And if you couldn't, then they wouldn't be available there. And then we have here a tools quick start. And so what this is this is some of the features that people most use in this database. And so this can get you quickly to where you want to go in the database. And then at the top, we have the top navigation bar here, which that is available from all the pages, subsequent pages that you go into in GDV. So you can always navigate from there. And so what we have here, as you can see, we have the crops. So this is basically the species pages again, another way of getting to those, so you can get from them there. Then we have the data, and in the data section, we have how to download data. Or you can download the data from there. We have data submission, how you submit data, what kind of information, what data we will take, what format it needs to be in. We have a data overview, which essentially is a dynamic script that gives you the numbers for all the different types of data that we have in the database. It's very useful for me for reporting purposes as well. The types of markers that we have in GDV, what abbreviations we use for the traits, the BIMS and fieldbook data that we have, and then any publication data sets that are in GDV. The search drop-down shows you a lot of the search features that we have. So we have quite a lot. You can search genes and transcripts, germplasm, genetic maps, markers, hubs, QTL search, sequence search, mega search, which one of the talks will show you in more detail. And then you can search content across sites. So this is a triple database, which is a genetic platform for developing organismal databases, but mostly are largely used for genomic, genetic, and breeding sites. And so for our particular databases that we have, you can search across our databases using this interoperability of the triple database system. We also have a trait descriptor search and a trait search. And then within tools, we have your standard type of thing like BLAST. Most databases have them. We have the breeding information management system that Sukyung is going to tell you about shortly. JBrowse, the genome viewer, map viewer. That's one that we developed in our program for viewing genetic maps, and it now also is integrated with a genome viewer within there. Pathway site for pathway tools, an expression heat map, and then a synteny viewer. And you're going to see some of that when Jodie presents. And then under general, we have, what is GDV? You can go to about there, what the kind of database it is. And essentially, it's a resource to enable basic translational and applied research for vaccinium crops, vaccinium species. And what we do as part of that is that we collate all the information that's in the public domain, do some curation on the data depending on the type of data, then upload it to our database and integrate it so that you can search and get all the associated information surrounding that search criteria that you've inputted. So the idea is that it saves you a lot of time, a great deal of time in your research, because you can get answers very quickly from this database. And the important thing is it's always kept up to date so that when you're searching, you're getting up to date information. So under there, we have conferences that are coming up. We have a mailing list, news archives, and I wanted to mention to the work completed section. If you go there, you can see all the work that's been done on this database, at least in terms of data and tools that have been added over the last few years. And you can just scroll down and see that what's there. We also have a work in progress section, but it's pretty generic. One thing I did want to mention to you is we have the VATCAP mailing list, but it would be very good if you also join the mailing list for the GDV. We will be starting to send out newsletters shortly on GDV, and we're planning to do additional webinars, and also we're thinking about doing kind of weekly how-tos, little snippets of how do you do this in the database, and send that out via the mailing list. So we won't inundate you with email. Just quick. So it would be good if you could do that. VATCAP, we have a link to the VATCAP. So the VATCAP is hosted also on Mainlab servers, and you can see the information there. Just a quick overview, in the last year, we've had over 5,000 users, over 10,000 visits, and almost 100,000 pages have been served on the database. And that was from scientists from 90 countries. Just some future activities we're going to be doing. We're going to continue to add new data into the database. We're going to add tools for visualization of epigenomics data and pangenome data. We're going to enhance the breeding information management system to support phenomics data, a GWAS capability, and global performance prediction capability, which we're quite excited about with that. And then part of this effort is also to identify sustainability models for these resources. NRSP10 is this big project that is based here in our program here, and it covers all these databases you can see below here, plus some other tools, and that is funded through 2024. And just acknowledge, we probably won't go to the acknowledgement slide when it comes to the presentation, so just see this, we acknowledge all the funding, people who fund this database, either through direct funding to this database or through funding we're able to utilize for other databases, which we then, obviously, we develop new tools, we implement it across our database. So just thank you for